This is euphoria for Barcelona. They're going to win. They're going to win the domestic double, which is good enough because the expectations were so low at the start of the season. This was supposed to be a transitional season. Remember, Real Madrid had just won everything and signed Kylian Mbappe. This was supposed to be a transitional season.
Well, a 7-goal thriller for an El Clásico today that finished at the Montjuic 4-3 in favour of Barcelona. They need just 1 point now to become the La Liga champions. And to talk more about it, Phil Kitro is here with us. Phil, so good to see you. Wow, just another bonkers El Clásico that we've seen this season. They've been so good, haven't they?
They have been absolutely extraordinary, brilliant value, tremendous entertainment for the neutral. Not so great if you're a Real Madrid fan. The aggregate score to Barcelona over the 4 games is 16-7. So they scored 16 goals in 4 games against Real Madrid this season across the Copa del Rey, the Spanish Super Cup, and 2 extraordinary games in La Liga. And yeah, Barcelona are going to win La Liga, and rightfully so. They have been the best team by some distance in the division so far this season. And actually, the strange things was Real Madrid had got to this point with still a chance of winning the league because we'd barely seen them perform at a very high level this season. And today, their faint title hopes ended.
So, Phil, for Real Madrid, do you think that this would have been a chance for them to somewhat salvage the season, or regardless, the season would have been seen as a big disappointment?
Yeah, it's a funny one. I think I was talking to the guys on Morning Footy on Friday, and I was saying to them, even if Real Madrid win the Clásico, even if they go on and win the league title, actually, there are still so many questions to be answered within this Real Madrid squad, starting with the manager, what you do in defence, what you do in midfield, trying to replace Toni Kroos, how you get Mbappe and Vini to click together and work together and get the numbers together that they haven't got together this season. That league title wouldn't have papered over the cracks. Sure, people would have celebrated and would have been great, and it would have been great to beat Barcelona, but it still wouldn't have answered all those questions. Now they're not going to win the league title. It's a massively disappointing season from where they were last campaign. Spanish champions, European champions, go out and sign the best player in the world, probably in Kylian Mbappe, and to win nothing this season, no major silverware, is a really disastrous season for Real Madrid, and one which they were not expecting. Last season, I live in Madrid. People here were expecting Real Madrid to go on and dominate domestically for seasons, signing Kylian Mbappe. Barcelona being where they are, the financial situation that they're in, not being able to sign as many players, they were thinking Real Madrid are going to dominate here, and it's Barcelona who have shown themselves to be by some distance better than them this season.
So Phil, we've waxed lyrically about Barcelona this season, rightly so. Who's impressed you the most this season?
So there's this kid, plays on the right wing, 17, scores really good goals. Lamine Yamal has just taken things to a next level. I think, everybody's talking about him. He knows that everybody's talking about him, and he's enjoying being the center of the attention. You can just tell he's loving it. He's got so much confidence, so much ability. But he does have an ability to also learn and develop and improve aspects of his game, like his decision making. It's always been pretty good. It's improved this season as well. So, I mean, he's been extraordinary. But I think if you go almost man for man in this starting 11 for Barcelona, everybody has had one of their best ever seasons, starting with the goalkeeper. Wojciech Szczesny was retired. He was smoking a cigarette on the bench in Marbella when he got the call to come and play for Barcelona. And he's been very good. And then the back four, Inigo Martinez wasn't a starter. He wasn't a first choice centre back. He made himself a centre back starter here. Pau Kubasi is also still a teenager and ridiculously young and ridiculously talented. Pedri's had his best ever season. Frankie de Jong's probably had his best ever season. What can I even say about Rafinha, who's putting up ludicrous numbers, and we're talking about the Ballon d'Or. So everybody's basically played extremely well, and I think that's got a lot to do with the manager and the way that he's come in and asked these players to play.
Phil, having said all that, not to be the downer here, but it feels harsh to think that Barcelona, with all that talent, with all these players having the season of their careers, that they're not in the Champions League final. Does that still put a bit of a dampener on Barcelona's season, despite them dominating Real Madrid in terms of La Liga?
I don't know, if we cross live shots from Barcelona, I don't think it would be too much of a dampener. I don't think people would be out on the street saying, oh, but we didn't make the Champions League final, because this is euphoria for Barcelona. They're going to win. They're going to win the domestic double, which is good enough because the expectations were so so low at the start of the season. This was supposed to be a transitional season. Remember, Real Madrid had just won everything and signed Kylian Mbappé. This was supposed to be a transitional season. Let's see with these youngsters what we can do with this new coach. And they've just blown everybody out of the water. So yes, you're right. It was a real shame for them to not make it through to the Champions League final. And the way that they fell as well, being so close, that hurt. It really hurt. And we were talking as well on the show on Friday, the mentality. How are they going to bounce back? How are they going to mentally bounce back from that crushing blow? Well, they've actually shown throughout the season they have been able to bounce back. They had a terrible November. Hansi Flick called it a word that I can't repeat on the show because it's a family show. It was a terrible November. They lost in the last minute to Atletico Madrid in December, a game they absolutely dominated. So they have been able to bounce back. They've been going behind in games as well, haven't they? They were behind against Inter, they came back. They were behind against Atletico Madrid in the Copa del Rey, they came back. They were behind today, they came back. I mean, they've shown this mentality, this resilience, which is also something that I think Barcelona fans will be delighted to see.
Phil, I met you a long time ago. You were a fresh-faced young journalist at Real Madrid TV. Maybe not many people in the world know Real Madrid as well as you do. So just put on your punditry cap for a second and just summarize, where did it all go wrong? You talked about the expectations preseason, but for the most part, they haven't played as well as people thought, and they've crashed out of major competition. So how can you explain this failure of a season?
Yeah, it's a difficult one to try and break down, but I think you have to break it down, in three different segments: the club, the manager, and the players. The club, of course, created a squad which was unbalanced this season. Yes, you go out and you sign Kylian Mbappé, but that means you've got three forwards who basically all want to play on the left with Mbappé, Vinicius and Rodrigo. There's no one like Joselu through the middle. You don't sign anyone to try and replace Toni Kroos, and the replacement is maybe a 40-year-old Luka Modric and Dani Ceballos, not good enough. And defensively, Nacho goes, who's so useful at the back. No one comes in to replace him. So to start off with, the squad was unbalanced despite that headline signing of Mbappé. Then Carlo Ancelotti has perhaps made some mistakes, maybe hasn't rotated enough, maybe hasn't given some players enough minutes or hasn't changed things up. He's relied on too many players that he really likes. And then the players themselves have all underperformed. Basically everybody has underperformed. Maybe Kylian Mbappé, okay, not Kylian Mbappé, but Fede Valverde, a couple, maybe you can say, Raul Asensio, but basically everybody's underperformed. So when everybody underperforms, that shows there's something structurally wrong with the manager and the club as well. So yeah, it's been a poor season, but you could almost see it. You could almost see it coming if you look past the signing of Kylian Mbappé in the summer.
Phil, you mentioned Carlo Ancelotti there. As this May is looking like it's his last El Clásico, how you feel like he'll be feeling to kind of leave it this way?
Desperately disappointed. Desperately disappointed. He would not have wanted to end like this. And let's remember, Carlo Ancelotti is literally the most successful manager in Real Madrid's history. Nobody has won more trophies than the Italian. He should go out on a high, at least remembered by the fans for what he's done. But this season has been disappointing. And like I said, I live in Madrid. I work in Barcelona, so I'm between the two cities a lot. So I get to hear what's the word on the street. And the word in Madrid is that people feel Carlo's time has come to an end. New blood is needed. New ideas are needed. And that's coming with perhaps a certain former Spain midfielder coming in to manage in a month or so. So yeah, it's been great for Carlo Ancelotti for what he's achieved, but it is time to go now.
It just shows, doesn't it, how quickly things can change in football. Just before we let you go, Phil, the word on the street seems to all be about the Ballon d'Or talk at the minute. For you, is Lamine Yamal still the main candidate to win it?
He's still in it. When we talk about the Ballon d'Or, it tends to be, is it the best? Who is the best player in the world? Or is it what it's become? Who has had the biggest impact on a team that has had major success this season? Because you think the teams that's won the Champions League, that's where the Ballon d'Or winner is going to come from. So maybe Ousmane Dembélé, maybe Lautaro Martinez. I don't know. Have they had better seasons than Lamine Yamal? Have they thrilled us more than Lamine Yamal or even Rafinha? I don't know. I still think Lamine Yamal's got a great shout for the way that he's played and what he's done in the biggest stages as well. Scored in Clásicos, scored in the last 16, the quarterfinal, the semi-finals of the Champions League as well. So Lamine does have a great shout, yeah.
Yeah, not to forget the Euros as well, not too long ago. He's got it all, hasn't he, Lamine Yamal? Thank you so much, Phil, for joining us. We appreciate it. We'll see you soon.
Pleasure, guys.
So Barcelona, they just need 1 point now to become the La Liga champions after winning today's El Clásico 4-3.